let me ask you a couple questions about, because one of the things I remember when your wife, my mom, passed away was you sat down with me and Brett, your other son, my younger brother, and you said, guys, at some point I'll probably start dating again, but no matter what happens, the three of us will always be a unit. And you went so far as to get a big magnetic sticker with the number three and stick it on the refrigerator. So I know you remember that, but I guess my question is more along the lines of, right now, as we're recording this, there is a lot of stuff going on in the country that's really tough on people. We've got this pandemic and the quarantine and people going out of business and the economy's bad. We've got protests. We've got issues with police violence. We've got the protesters sometimes getting out of control. The politics is totally crazy. It's a tough time for people, I guess is what I'm getting at. And you went through one of the toughest things I think anybody could imagine. And I know the way you tell the story, you tell it in a very optimistic, positive way, at least to the extent you can. But give us some tips if you don't mind. Like, what kind of advice did you get from people? I remember you telling me, I think it was a black master sergeant gave you some advice in the Air Force when you were going through, a guy who had lost his wife as well. But tell us, how did you get through these very, very difficult times when your wife is extremely sick, you've got a job you've got to do, plus you've got to raise kids? Like, what are some of the pieces of advice you got? What was your mindset during this period? How did you get through that?
Well, like I say, I had a very stressful job, but on the other hand, I had one where I had some flexibility. You guys were healthy. I had everything going for me. And it really, I can't, it wasn't that stressful that last 2 years, or three, I guess 2.5 years, as far as raising you guys go, because basically you guys all did the right thing. I didn't have a problem that a lot of people have. And I think that I don't care what the issue is. I think you have to look at all the things you've got going for me before you worry about the things that you don't have going for you. And I think that applies to everybody. And if right now, with all the stuff going on, you want to feel good? My suggestion is go to Walmart. Go to Walmart. There are all kinds at Walmart, okay? All kinds of races, religions, sexes, poor people, rich people, whatever. People are nice to each other.
Yeah.
People are good.
Yeah.
People get along, okay? And there's a black guy that takes care of all the grocery carts at Albertsons. And I've got on this Trump mask. I walk up to him and I say, "Would you do me a favor?" He said, "Sure." He said, "Don't let them divide us up."
Yeah.
The politicians are going to try to divide us up. Don't let them do it. Okay.
Yeah.
But I would say that we're going to get through this. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're not sure when it's coming. And I would just say that, it's okay to sit around and suck your thumb sometimes. Everybody deserves to feel sorry for themselves. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But you need to get up and you need to press on in the country, which I don't care what anybody says is the greatest, most generous, most tolerant nation on earth. We've got so many things going for us. And you have to emphasize those things. As bad as the virus is, as bad as the protests can get, as ugly as the elections get, I've got a tremendous amount of confidence in the American people. I have absolutely no confidence in the politicians in Washington, and that includes both parties.
Yep.
or the elitists there. The American people are good.
Yep.
And get along, and they help each other. And so we're going to get through this. And I just, it's easy to say have a positive attitude. I mean, everybody's going to give you that answer, but it's very true. Very true. And
I actually wrote an article a couple of years ago about having a positive attitude. And one of the points that I was trying to make in the article was, I mean, of course, you don't want to be overly positive. You don't want to be Pollyannish and, stuff like
Sure.
that. But the point is, if you have a choice between looking at things from an optimistic, positive standpoint and looking at things from a negative, maybe a cynical, a skeptical standpoint, I mean, you're just going to be a lot happier. You're
Yeah.
just, your days are going to be better if you try to look at things to the extent you can in the most positive way that you can. And I'll tell you, you know, you're talking about Walmart. I think that's a great point. And I'll tell you how I've experienced that, Dad. This is before the pandemic, obviously. We haven't been able to do this since the pandemic, but Vuk and I at our work would do mock trials or focus groups once a month for our cases. And we intentionally try to get the most diverse group of people we can get. I mean, conservative, liberal, Black, white, Hispanic, women, men, old, young, you name it. We have a service and we say, get us the most diverse group of people you can possibly get, because when you do focus groups, you want to get as many opinions as you can get. And in any event, what I started noticing is, you know, this is a group of 16, 20 people, most of which have very little in common before they come into this room. And they're arguing and discussing really, really important issues, some of which some of them feel very passionately about, and nobody is an asshole. I mean, everybody gets along, and whether they agree with each other or not, when they're sitting down there face to face, they're polite, they're friendly, they try to work together. And I'm telling you, people from the most diverse groups or the most diverse backgrounds you can imagine, they get along. As a matter of fact, what's super cool is sometimes, you know, you'll have a couple people walk in there and you'll look at them and you'll say, man, those people have nothing in common. By the time they're done deliberating, guess who the two best friends are? Those two, you know what I mean? So I'm with you. And I'll tell you, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think this is such an important point, and I really want to emphasize it. I could not agree with you more that the average American is a good, positive person that will help people out, has good intentions. And I think the vast majority of the country is like that. What I worry about is the way that the internet and social media to some extent has kind of amplified divisions that I don't even think exist. Like, I think these divisions are fake divisions. I mean, and you know, it's not just social media and the internet. It's like you said, some of the politicians intentionally try to do this for their own, that try to divide us for their own best interest. But if you set aside what you read on TV, what you hear on the radio, what you see on the internet and social media, and you just deal with people face to face, most people are just good people.
Oh yeah. And I agree with you there. And I think our political views are a little different, and I feel real strongly about mine. I feel you feel real strongly about yours. But the point is this, and I wanted to tell you this, that when I work out now, I don't watch TV. I leave it off.
Yeah.
I am so sick and tired of people just trying to trash everybody's trying to trash everybody.
Yeah.
And I have a better workout.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. I try to watch a little bit of news to try to see what's going on, because I want to know what's going on. But I think
do me a favor, Dad. Do me a favor.
What's that?
You have not gotten on social media yet. Please do not get on social media.
I won't.
Yeah, please stay off social media. Your chain emails are plenty. Social media is not a good place.